The war had ended, but the galaxy still smelled of burnt metal and broken promises. Ships drifted like silent ghosts over the ruins of planets that once held life. Humans and Zirathi, two races that had spent years trying to destroy one another, were now forced to sit at the same table of uneasy peace. Among the human representatives was Commander Aaron Vale, an engineer known for fixing anything that could break. Engines, weapons, reactors. If it had wires or circuits, Aaron could bring it back from the dead. But now he stood in front of something he had never seen before. The Zirathi flagship, named Illyriath, hung in orbit above a quiet moon. It was enormous, shaped like a living creature rather than a machine. Its hull shimmered faintly, alive with strange patterns that moved like veins beneath skin. It wasn't made of metal alone. It breathed, it pulsed, and to Aaron, it looked like something born rather than built. The humans had been invited to help repair what the Zirathi themselves could not. Every alien engineer had tried and failed to restore their ruler's armor. The Empress Thalara, leader of the Zirathi, had worn it during the final battle that ended the war. The armor had saved her life, but at a great cost. It was shattered, cracked, and silent now. When Aaron entered the grand repair hall, dozens of Zirathi soldiers and engineers turned to stare. He could feel their eyes on him. Tall figures with shimmering skin, glowing eyes, and elegant armor that looked like it grew from their bodies. They whispered among themselves, their voices like soft wind over glass. "The human is here," someone said. "The outsider. Only the human engineer could repair it," another whispered. The words carried across the hall, and Aaron paused. He didn't know whether it was an insult or a statement of hope. He took a slow breath and stepped forward. At the center of the hall stood the Empress. Thalara, ruler of the Zirathi, was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her presence filled the room, not through strength or power, but through calm authority. Her eyes glowed faintly silver, like moonlight reflecting on water. Around her lay the armor, broken into pieces. The air around it pulsed with quiet energy, as if it was alive and in pain. Aaron approached and bowed slightly, unsure of what gesture was appropriate. "Commander Aaron Vale," he introduced himself, his voice steady. "Human Engineering Corps. I was told you needed help with this." Thalara studied him in silence. The room grew still, every eye waiting for her response. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft but carrying across the vast hall. "Yes," she said. "Our healers and builders have all failed. The armor does not respond to us anymore. It has chosen silence." She paused, and her silver eyes met his. "Only the human engineer could repair this armor," she whispered. Then her eyes found mine. Aaron felt something stir in him, something between awe and pressure. He was standing before the most powerful being of an entire empire, being asked to fix a relic no one else could touch. The weight of two civilizations rested on his shoulders. "I'll do my best," he said simply. Thalara nodded once. "Then begin." The workroom was like nothing Aaron had ever seen. The tools were half organic, responding to touch like living things. The walls pulsed with light, shifting colors as though the ship itself was watching. He crouched beside the broken armor, running his fingers over its surface. The armor wasn't made of metal, not entirely. It was warm to the touch, like skin, and beneath its surface something moved, small vibrations, faint pulses of life. Every time he touched it, the pulse grew stronger, as if it could sense him. "This isn't a machine," he murmured. "It's alive." An assistant nearby tilted her head. "Alive? The armor has grown, yes, but it obeys the mind of the one who wears it." Aaron frowned. "Then why doesn't it obey her now?" No one answered. The Zirathi engineers exchanged uneasy looks. Thalara watched silently from a raised platform, her hands folded. For all her power, Aaron could see something in her eyes. Fear, maybe. Or sorrow. He turned back to the armor. It had a deep scar running through its chest plate, the kind that told a story. He imagined the moment it was damaged. The Empress on the battlefield, energy fire exploding around her, her armor cracking to protect her life. He wondered what it had felt like to fight in something alive. Hours passed as Aaron examined the internal systems. Strange fibers connected every part, glowing faintly blue. He connected his tools, reading signals that looked nothing like human data. Every measurement broke known logic, he muttered to himself as he worked. No fixed patterns, No logical circuits. It's like this thing runs on emotion instead of code. At that, Thalara spoke for the first time in hours. You are not far from the truth, human. The armor is bonded to the spirit of its wearer. It is an extension of the soul. When the battle ended, I was not the same. And so it broke. Aaron looked up. Then maybe it's not just the armor that needs repairing. The room went silent again. Even Thalara seemed caught off guard by his words. A human, an enemy not long ago, had just told her something no one in her empire dared say aloud. She gave a quiet smile, one that didn't quite reach her eyes. Perhaps, she said softly, but that is not something you can fix with tools. Maybe not, Aaron replied, but I'll try anyway. As the night deepened, Aaron worked alone. He found that the armor responded to voice vibrations, especially calm tones. It hummed faintly whenever he spoke softly to it. Curious, he continued to talk while repairing, telling stories from Earth about blue skies, rain, and music. Humans used to sing while they worked, he said to no one in particular. Maybe you'd like that. The armor gave a faint pulse of light as if answering. When Thalara returned later, she stood quietly in the doorway watching. The hall lights were dim and Aaron's figure was lit only by the glowing armor before him. For the first time in many moons, she saw her armor shimmer with life. You speak to it, she said, stepping closer. Aaron looked up, a faint smile on his face. I don't know how else to talk to something that listens. Thalara walked around him, examining the faint hum coming from the armor. No one else thought to do that, she said quietly. That's the thing about humans, he said. We try everything once. For the briefest moment, Thalara's lips curved upward. It wasn't a smile of amusement, it was something deeper, something rare. Respect. By the time the twin suns rose over the ship's orbit, the armor's main systems had stabilized. The faint heartbeat-like pulse had returned. Not strong yet, but alive. Aaron leaned back, exhausted but satisfied. It's not healed, he said, but it's waking up. Thalara stepped forward, kneeling beside the armor. She placed her palm gently on its chest plate, and for the first time in weeks it responded. The blue light beneath her hand grew brighter, spreading like veins across the surface. Her eyes widened. It remembers me, she whispered. Good, Aaron said softly. Then we're halfway there. She looked at him, truly seeing him now, not as an outsider but as a craftsman who had done what her empire could not. Commander Vale, she said, your people build machines with logic and precision, but you repair with heart. That is not something we understand. Aaron chuckled lightly. That's the only way I know how to work. There was silence then, peaceful, fragile, and full of something unspoken. For the first time, the distance between human and Zirathi didn't feel like a chasm. It felt like a bridge. As Aaron left the hall later that day, the whispers followed him again. But this time, they carried a different tone. The human made it live again, one voice said. Maybe the stories were true, said another. Humans fix what others abandon. And in the center of the hall, Empress Thalara stood alone beside her slowly healing armor. The faint glow reflected in her eyes, soft and warm. Only the human engineer could repair this armor, she whispered once more. But deep down, she felt something strange, something that both frightened and comforted her. Because for the first time in her long life, she wondered if this human might repair more than just metal and spirit. Perhaps, she thought quietly, he might repair her faith in something greater. The next morning aboard the Zirathi flagship, Illyriath was quieter than usual. The air felt different, lighter, expectant. The guards who once glared at the human engineer now gave him brief, respectful nods as he passed. Word had spread through the ship like wildfire. The human had awakened the Empress's armor. Commander Aaron Vale walked through the glowing corridors, his tool pack hanging from one shoulder. Every surface of the ship pulsed with slow, living light, as though the vessel itself breathed in rhythm with its crew. He couldn't help but marvel. The Zirathi didn't build things the way humans did. They grew them, shaped them with thought and emotion. It was both fascinating and unsettling. When he entered the repair hall again, the air felt charged with silent energy. The broken armor pieces, now faintly glowing, rested on a raised platform surrounded by repair drones that hovered like insects. The Empress was already there, standing tall in her long silver robes, her expression calm but unreadable. You return early? Commander Vale, Thalara said as he approached. I couldn't sleep, Aaron admitted. Your armor hums even when I'm not near it. It's like it wants to talk. Thalara tilted her head slightly, her silver eyes curious. It is connected to those who understand its song. Few ever hear it. I don't think it's just a song, Aaron said as he began setting up his tools. It's like a heartbeat. A living rhythm. Maybe that's how it communicates. For a moment, the Empress said nothing. She stepped closer to the platform, her gaze softening. The armor was grown from my own essence. It was meant to protect me until my last breath. When it was damaged, I thought that bond was lost forever. Her voice lowered. You proved otherwise, Aaron smiled faintly. Guess humans are good at fixing lost things. Hours passed as he worked. The inner chambers of the armor opened like petals of a flower, revealing layers of glowing tissue interwoven with metallic fibers. The deeper he went, the more he realized how much of it responded to emotional energy, rather than mechanical input. It's reacting to how we feel, Aaron said aloud, as his scanner showed shifting patterns. If I'm calm, the circuits align. If I'm frustrated, they scatter. Thalara watched from behind him. The Zirathi call that soul resonance. It was a sacred concept once. We believed emotion was power, but after centuries of war, we began to fear it. Aaron looked up from his tools. Maybe that's why it broke. Machines that run on emotion can't survive in a world that hides it. Her gaze lingered on him. You speak wisdom for one so young. Maybe, he said with a small shrug. Or maybe I've just fixed too many broken things. Later that day, a group of Zirathi nobles entered the hall. Their robes shimmered like molten gold, and their faces carried an air of pride. At their head was Lord Varash, Thalara's political advisor. His expression hardened the moment he saw Aaron near the sacred armor. My Empress, Varash began, bowing stiffly. We have tolerated the presence of this human long enough. Allowing an outsider to tamper with royal technology dishonors our ancestors. Thalara did not turn to face him. Our ancestors would not wish their legacy to die out of pride. The armor is sacred. Varash's tone sharpened. Letting an alien touch it is... Aaron looked up from his work, wiping grease from his hands. If you'd like to take over, be my guest, he said calmly. But if you break it again, I'm not responsible. The silence that followed was heavy. Thalara's lips curved slightly, not in mockery, but in admiration for his boldness. Enough, Lord Varash, she said. The human will continue. You may observe if you wish, but you will not interfere. Varash lowered his head, but his glare stayed fixed on Aaron. As you command. My Empress, he said, though his tone carried warning. When the nobles left, Thalara approached Aaron, her expression thoughtful. You are not afraid to speak your mind, even in front of those who could end your mission with a word. Aaron chuckled softly. Where I come from, speaking up is the only way to stay honest. I'd rather be dismissed for truth than rewarded for silence. Thalara considered that for a moment, then nodded. Perhaps that is what makes your kind dangerous and admirable. The days turned into weeks. The repair hall became their shared world, half workshop, half sanctuary. Aaron worked tirelessly, and Thalara often joined him, watching and learning. She began to understand the human's strange approach to engineering. He didn't follow a pattern. He followed instinct. He trusted feelings as much as calculations, and somehow it worked. Sometimes he spoke while he worked, sharing simple stories about Earth. There's a place called the Grand Canyon, he told her once. It's so deep you can't see the bottom in the mist. People stand there for hours just staring, feeling small but peaceful. Thalara listened quietly. Your world must be beautiful. It was, he said softly. Still is in some places. But war always leaves scars. She understood that feeling well. You sound as though you carry many scars, Commander. Everyone who survives does, he replied. The trick is learning to build around them. Her eyes softened. And you help others do the same. He smiled. Guess that's my specialty. One evening, the hall lights dimmed as the ship entered night cycle. Aaron remained working, tightening glowing strands that looked like veins. Thalara stood nearby, observing in silence. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air. The armor's chest plate lit up, bright and alive. It's responding again, Aaron exclaimed, his eyes wide. The neural circuits are reconnected. Thalara stepped closer, awe in her voice. I can feel it. It's breathing, Aaron nodded. It's syncing with you.
That means the link isn't broken. It just needed to remember who you are. She placed her hand gently on the armor.
I thought I had lost its trust, she said softly. Maybe it just needed to see that you still cared, Aaron replied. Machines or living things don't stop working for no reason. They stop when they lose purpose. Her silver eyes met his, and you gave it back. He looked at her for a moment, realizing how human she seemed despite her alien form. No, he said quietly. You did. I just reminded it to listen. But peace never lasted long. The next morning the ship trembled as if struck by something. The lights flickered. Alarms echoed through the hallways. What was that? Aaron shouted over the noise. Thalara pressed a hand to her ear, listening to the comms. Saboteurs, she said grimly. They have breached the lower reactor bay. Before Aaron could react, the door burst open and a group of armored Zirathi soldiers stormed in. Their insignias were black, rebels loyal to Lord Varash. The leader pointed a weapon directly at Aaron. Step away from the sacred armor, human. The soldier barked. Thalara moved in front of him immediately, her robe flowing like liquid light. You dare point weapons in my hall? The armor has been corrupted by the outsider, the soldier shouted. It must be destroyed before its filth spreads. Before anyone could move, one of the rebels threw an energy charge toward the platform. Aaron didn't think, he simply reacted. He dove forward, shielding the armor with his body as the explosion tore through the room. The blast threw him across the floor, the air filled with smoke and sparks. Pain rushed through his arm, but he stayed conscious long enough to see the armor, still intact, glowing faintly. Thalara's guards rushed in, overpowering the rebels. The Empress ran to Aaron's side, kneeling beside him. Commander, she said urgently. You're hurt. He coughed, wincing. I've had worse, he said, forcing a weak smile. But the armor's safe. That's what matters. She looked at him, her voice trembling. You risked your life for something that is not yours. Not for something, he said softly, for someone. For a moment she couldn't speak. Then she whispered, You are a strange creature, human. He smiled faintly. I've been told that before. When the smoke cleared, the armor still glowed, brighter than before, as if it had witnessed his sacrifice and responded to it. The Empress placed a hand over its heart plate. It pulsed once, steady and strong. Thalara looked down at Aaron, her voice gentle. You saved more than my armor today. He tried to sit up, but she stopped him. Rest, she said. You've done enough. He leaned back, exhaustion taking over. Not yet, he murmured. We still have a lot to fix. Her gaze softened. Perhaps, Commander Vale, it is not just the armor that is being repaired. And for the first time, the great ship Illyria felt alive again, its hum steady, its lights bright, like a wounded soul finally learning to heal. The explosion had left the repair hall scarred, but it still stood. Smoke stains marked the walls, and pieces of melted metal hung from the ceiling like black vines. Yet in the center of it all, the armor still glowed, alive, strong, and almost protective, as though guarding its savior. For 3 days, Commander Aaron Vale stayed under medical care. The Zirathi healers worked in silence, surprised at how quickly the human recovered. Human bodies, they said, were strange things, weak but stubborn. Aaron only smiled whenever they mentioned it. He had been through worse battles before. When he woke on the 4th day, the first thing he saw was Empress Thalara sitting near his bed. Her robes were simpler now, without the heavy silver symbols of command. Her face looked softer, less like a ruler and more like someone carrying quiet gratitude. You are awake, she said gently. Aaron blinked a few times, trying to focus. Guess I am. How long was I out? 3 cycles, she replied. You nearly died protecting something that was never meant for you. He smiled weakly. Guess I have a habit of fixing things I don't own. Thalara tilted her head, studying him. Why human? Why risk yourself for another race's relic? Aaron took a slow breath before answering. Because it mattered to you. And that was enough. The Empress fell silent. For a long time she just watched him, trying to understand this strange being who spoke so simply yet acted with such courage. Later that day, Thalara led him back to the repair hall. The guard saluted her respectfully, their earlier suspicion replaced by quiet respect. When Aaron entered, he stopped in surprise. The armor stood on its platform, fully shaped, its deep blue glow steady. It wasn't completely restored, but it was close. Its surface looked smooth again, the scars of battle sealed with faint golden lines. You finished the outer layer, Aaron said in awe. Thalara nodded. While you rested, I followed your instructions. I spoke to it as you taught me, to listen, not command. He smiled. Then it's listening to you again. She placed her palm on the armor's chest. The faint hum grew stronger, like a heartbeat answering hers. It feels peaceful, almost alive again. That's because it is, Arin said quietly. It remembers who you are, but not everyone aboard Illyriath shared their calm. Lord Varash, still furious at the failed sabotage, gathered several nobles in secret. In the shadow of the ship's lower decks, his voice was low but sharp. The Empress has grown weak, he said. She allows the human to twist our traditions. We cannot allow this, one of his allies spoke nervously, but the armor lives again because of him. The people are beginning to call him the Soul Mender. Varash's eyes hardened. Then we will remind them who truly leads the Zirathi. The armor may have returned, but it will obey no one who betrays our kind. Meanwhile, Aaron continued working, unaware of the storm building around him. Each day he studied the deeper systems of the armor. It contained something he could barely understand, a core of energy that pulsed like a living heart. He realized that this core wasn't just power, it was emotion, memory, and connection. The armor didn't draw strength from fuel, it drew strength from trust. That evening, while testing energy readings, he said softly, "You know, this thing reacts better when she's near." Thalara, who had been standing behind him, nodded. "It recognizes emotion. Our scientists once believed such bonds made us weak. You have shown me the opposite." Aaron looked up. "Maybe emotion doesn't make us weak. It makes us real." Thalara smiled faintly. "Humans and Zirathi are not so different after all." The following day, Thalara invited Aaron to the ship's observation deck. From there, the stars stretched endlessly across the dark void. Nebulas glowed like rivers of fire, and broken ships drifted as silent reminders of the war. For a while, neither spoke. Then Thalara said quietly, "When I ended the war, many called it betrayal. They said peace with humans would destroy us. Yet here you are, proving that peace can build, not destroy." Aaron kept his gaze on the stars. "War doesn't fix anything. It just breaks things faster. Maybe building is harder, but it lasts longer." "You speak as if you've carried many losses." He nodded. "Too many. Every engineer has ghosts. Machines we couldn't save, people we couldn't reach in time. That's why I fix things now. Because if I can repair something even a little, then maybe I'm fixing myself too." Thalara looked at him with new eyes. "You are unlike any human I have met." "Probably because most humans you met were soldiers," he said with a quiet grin. That earned a small, genuine laugh from her, a sound he hadn't heard before. It was soft and clear, like the first melody after silence. But peace never stayed long aboard Illyriath. Late that night, alarms blared again. Short bursts, not a full attack, but enough to send guards running. Aaron and Thalara hurried to the command bridge. A transmission flickered on the main screen. A Zirathi warship, marked with the insignia of Lord Varash. "This is Lord Varash of the Zirathi Council," his voice boomed. "By the authority of the Old Order, I demand that the human be surrendered immediately. His presence has corrupted our Empress and our sacred armor." Thalara's eyes narrowed. "Varash, you overstep your bounds. Stand down. I serve our people," he spat. "You serve your weakness." The connection cut. The warship began charging its weapons. Aaron turned to Thalara. "He's not bluffing. He'll destroy this ship to stop us." She clenched her fists. "Then we show him the armor still defends its queen." Aaron hesitated. "It's not ready yet. The core's unstable. If you use it now, it might." "I trust you," she interrupted softly. "You said it responds to faith. So have faith in yourself, human." The repair hall became a storm of light. The armor floated above the platform, its inner systems awakening. Aaron stood beside it, hands moving across glowing panels. Thalara stepped forward, her eyes calm despite the chaos. When she placed her hand on the armor's chest, the light flared. It spread across her body like liquid silver, flowing into place until she stood within it. Once again, the Empress of the Zirathi. Aaron watched in awe. "It fits you perfectly," he said. Thalara's voice echoed from within the armor, firm and steady. "It remembers." Moments later, the ship shook as Varash's fleet opened fire. The Illyriath trembled, shields flickering. The crew panicked, shouting orders. But Thalara stood unmoving, glowing brighter than any star outside. Aaron called out, "The power core's overloading." "If it breaks the whole ship," Thalara raised her hand. The armor pulsed, and a shockwave rippled through the ship. The next instant, energy erupted from Illyriath's hull. forming a vast shield that absorbed the incoming fire. The bridge fell silent. The enemy's blasts faded like sparks in rain. Thalara's voice rang through every speaker. Enough blood has been spilled. Lay down your weapons. Outside, the rebellious ships hesitated. Then one by one they powered down. Varash's transmission returned, his face pale with disbelief. Impossible. That armor was dead. Aaron stepped into view beside Thalara. Guess it just needed the right mechanic. After the battle, silence filled the ship once more. Thalara removed the armor, its light dimming but still alive. She turned to Aaron. You risked everything again, she said softly. You could have left when the fighting began. And missed this? He joked lightly. Then more serious. You said you trusted me. I couldn't walk away after that. She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. You have given me more than repairs. You've given my people a reason to believe again. Aaron smiled. Then maybe this is the real repair, the one that matters. Thalara extended her hand. You have earned a place among the Zirathi, Commander Vale. Not as an outsider, but as an ally. He took her hand firmly. Then let's finish this together. As the stars outside calmed and the ship drifted in peaceful silence, the armor's faint glow filled the hall with warmth. It pulsed gently, as if echoing the heartbeat of two worlds learning to trust one another. And somewhere deep within that living machine, a new signal began to form, something that had never existed before. It wasn't Zirathi or human. It was both. The Ilariath hung in orbit, calm once more, but the echoes of rebellion still lingered in its halls. The crew moved cautiously, repairing minor damage from the skirmish with Lord Varash's fleet. Yet at the center of it all, the Empress and her living armor stood as a silent symbol of survival, a beacon of hope the galaxy had never seen before. Commander Aaron Vale returned to the repair hall, carrying a small toolkit. The armor floated above the platform, glowing faintly with soft pulses. Each pulse felt like a heartbeat, a rhythm that matched the room's quiet hum. Thalara watched him as he approached. The armor's energy has stabilized, she said, but it is not fully awakened. Aaron knelt before the floating suit. It's alive, but it's like a child learning to walk. One wrong step and it could shut down again. He traced the energy lines with his gloved fingers, careful not to touch the living fibers directly. It needs more than repairs. It needs trust in you, in me, and in the crew. Thalara stepped closer. It trusts you already. Why do you hesitate? Because power like this can be dangerous if it's misused, Aaron said softly. I've seen machines and people break when they're pushed too far too fast. This armor is more than metal and energy. It's a soul, and souls can't be forced. Her silver eyes softened. Then teach me, human. Show me how to awaken it fully. For the next few days, Aaron worked tirelessly. He guided Thalara in interacting with the armor, showing her how to synchronize her breathing and heart rate with its pulses. The armor responded more strongly to her presence with every attempt, but its power remained restrained, as if holding back until it trusted fully. One evening, Aaron stood beside her as she placed her hands on the armor's chest plate. Feel its rhythm, he whispered. Don't think of the mechanics, just connect. Thalara closed her eyes and focused. Slowly, the faint hum of the armor grew stronger. Its glow intensified, following the cadence of her heartbeat. She felt warmth spreading through her hands, through her body, until she sensed a voice, not words, but a feeling. We remember. We are one. Aaron looked at her in surprise. It's communicating. Thalara opened her eyes, awe in her gaze. It knows me. It remembers every battle, every choice, every scar, and it trusts me again. The room filled with a soft golden light. The armor floated higher, its form expanding slightly as if rising to its full potential. The living machine pulsed faster, brighter, synchronized with both Thalara and Aaron. For the first time it seemed awake. Complete. Outside the hall, the crew watched from a distance. Many whispered to one another, calling Aaron the human soulmender and Thalara the awakened empress. They had never seen such a display. For years, the Zirathi had believed strength came from power alone, but now, the humans' approach, compassion, patience, and trust, was proving stronger than weapons or dominance. Even Lord Varash, in a hidden chamber, monitored the events. His jaw tightened as he watched the armor awaken. So it is true, he muttered. The human has done what no Zirathi could. The Empress. She grows stronger. He slammed his hand against the control panel. This cannot stand. Meanwhile, Aaron and Thalara continued their work. They trained the armor to respond faster, to act on instinct yet remain under control. Aaron marveled at the complexity of the living suit. Every movement was fluid, almost organic, like it had its own mind but chose to obey its wearer. "You know," Aaron said one quiet evening, "humans designed our first exosuits for soldiers. Rigid, cold, and precise. Nothing like this," Thalara smiled faintly. "Your people fight wars with machines that follow commands. Ours respond to life, but life is unpredictable." "That's why it works," Aaron replied. "Humans know unpredictability. We survive it." She watched him work, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "I trust your hands, human. Not just with this armor, but with my people." He looked at her, surprised at the depth of her words. "That's a lot of trust," he said. "It is," she admitted softly, "but you have earned it." Then the attack came. Late one night, the ship's sensors detected an approaching fleet. Not Varash's small rebellion this time, but a full armada loyal to the old council. Determined to reclaim control, the Illyriath would be overwhelmed if it engaged without its full strength. "Commander Vale," Thalara said, her voice steady though her eyes narrowed. "Are you ready?" Aaron nodded. "As ready as we'll ever be. But you must trust the armor now. It's awake, stronger than any weapon we have, and it responds to you." She placed both hands on the chest plate. The armor pulsed, shining brighter than ever, almost blinding in its intensity. A wave of energy spread outward, filling the hull, and the crew felt a calm confidence sweep through them. "You will lead," she said softly, "and I will follow." Aaron looked at her. "No, we lead together. That's the only way this works." As the enemy fleet approached, the armor rose above the platform. Its golden glow stretched like a shield around the ship, forming a protective aura that absorbed incoming fire. Cannons struck the hull, lasers cut the air, but none penetrated the protective field. The Empress moved with the armor as if it were an extension of herself. Every step precise, every motion fluid. Aaron guided energy flow from the control room, his hands moving over consoles while his mind worked in sync with the living machine. "It's responding to both of us," he said, awe in his voice. "We're synchronized." Thalara looked at him with determination. "Then let us show them what unity can do." Together, human and Empress moved the armor like a single entity. It darted forward, absorbing blasts, redirecting energy, and striking with precision. The enemy fleet faltered, unable to breach the Illyriath's defenses. Outside, Varash's ships hesitated. His voice came through the comms, trembling with disbelief. "Impossible. It cannot be!" Thalara's voice rang through the bridge, clear and commanding. "Peace is stronger than war. Lay down your weapons or face the consequences." One by one, the attacking ships powered down, unwilling to challenge the awakened armor. The crew cheered, and the energy from the suit dimmed back to a calm, steady pulse. When the battle ended, the hall fell silent. The armor returned to its platform, glowing softly, a living monument to what had been accomplished. Thalara removed her hands, but the connection remained. She looked at Aaron, gratitude and respect shining in her eyes. "You did more than repair a machine," she said. "You awakened its soul." Aaron shook his head. "We did it together. You trusted me, Empress. You gave it hope, and it gave it back to you." She took a step closer. "You have changed everything here, Commander. For my people. And for me," Aaron smiled, tired but satisfied. "Then let's keep changing it, one step at a time." That night, the Illyriath rested in orbit. The crew moved with quiet confidence, inspired by what they had seen. Humans and Zirathi had worked side by side, and for the first time in generations, both sides believed in a shared future. The armor pulsed gently in the center of the hall, its energy steady and calm. It was alive, yes, but it had also learned something new. Life and trust were stronger than force. And as long as Commander Aaron Vale and Empress Thalara stood together, there was nothing it could not withstand. Somewhere deep within its core, the armor remembered the human's courage, the Empress's faith, and the quiet determination that had brought them together. It was no longer just a tool or weapon. It was a symbol, a bond between two worlds, proof that humanity could repair what even the strongest could not. And for the first time, the galaxy had hope.